So here is how to customize the in-game events that's now enabled by DOFLinx on your Pixelcade marquee. So let me first explain how this actually works. So go ahead and from your hard drive, just browse to your Pixelcade folder. After you've installed the latest Pixelcade software, you're going to see this new folder called DOFLinx. Double click on that. Go into the DOFLinx_MAME folder. So let's start with an easy example, and then we'll get a little bit more sophisticated. So I'm going to open up this game here, 1942. And this is kind of where the magic happens. This is basically where we say, okay, if this event happens in the game, then do this on Pixelcade. And so the way DOFLinx works here, this is pretty slick. Big shout out to the developer of DOFLinx for coming up with this idea. But in essence, what he's able to do is he's got a custom compiled version of MAME that has extra information. And he's sending that information to Pixelcade, specifically score updates. So the way it works is we say, okay, if you in this game shot a plane and that plane was 30 points, then do this. And so you'll see there's a bunch of stuff in here because DOFLinx is very accessible. It supports a bunch of other stuff other than just Pixelcade. So if you've got like an LED light strip, for example, and you shoot a plane and you want it to flash red or flash purple or what have you, you can totally do that with these other commands. So I'm not going to go into that. There's lots of other tutorials out there on DOFLinx. I'm just going to focus on Pixelcade. But when you see all this other stuff, that's essentially what that is. That is DOFLinx doing other events that you can hook up. So pretty cool there. But for right now, let's just focus on Pixelcade. So that's this command here. So what we're saying is if you shoot a plane and you get 30 points, then play this particular animation. That's essentially it in a nutshell. If you shoot a different plane that's worth 70 points, then let me just scroll over here. Then we have a different explosion, right? And we can all customize these based on different types of artwork. And so the artwork, let me just go there real quick, is I've stuck all of that under a folder called MAME output. So this is the one that we were looking at, 1942 explosion. You can just double click on it and you can see that's the explosion that plays. And there's a couple other ones here. Level up. Some of these are generic. So like if you get to a different level in a game, you can just use these ones that are already there versus creating new artwork. This is a generic one that's kind of nice you can use. So lots of artwork there, and hopefully there'll be some users out there that will be interested in this and creating new artwork, and we can add that new artwork to new games. That would be super awesome. And so when you go in here, you basically say, if this event happened, then I want you to play this file. This is the format, so you can just cut and paste. But basically what that means is we're going to call this event. This is specific to the DOFLinx syntax. U is a user command. E means send it to Pixelcade LED. If you happen to have a Pixelcade LCD display, you can also do that. So you would put a C. C would mean send this to Pixelcade LCD. I'll show you another example where we actually send it to both. You can control. That's pretty cool. Pretty cool. If you actually have both LED and LCD marquees, you can send this command to this one and that command to that one. It has that flexibility. And so here's the actual API call. And so it's basically saying play this generic explosions animation. And then the loop, L stands for loop, means play that one time. There may be other animations you want to play, like for example, if I'm playing, let's see, I think I did this in Frogger. So let's say you're playing Frogger and you made it to the next level. Then play this level up animation and play it 4 times. So that's what it says L equals 4. So that's an example there. By default, once the animation plays based on the event, it will then go back to the game marquee, which in this case is Frogger. So it'll say, or sorry, in this case it's 1942. So it'll blow up the plane, you blow up the plane in the game, plays the explosion animation, and then immediately goes back to the 1942 game marquee. That's the default behavior. Now, if you want to override that, you can actually do that. So if you watch the video for Gorf, Gorf is a little different. What we do is we play different animations based on what level you're at. So in that case, we actually don't want to have it go back to the default Gorf marquee, we want to do other stuff. And so the way to do that is you would just follow this syntax. So in the startup, you'd have this additional line that says, Pixelcade replace LED marquee after animation, make that 0. The default is 1. So if you don't put anything in, it'll just default to 1. So essentially what we're doing is we're saying, okay, if you made it to level 1, this is a MAME output, we won't go into those details, but if you made it to level 1, then go ahead and send this animation and do that for both LED, which is the E, as well as LCD, which is the C. So this is how we can actually send 2 commands, one to Pixelcade LED, that's the E, and one to Pixelcade LCD, that's the C. So that's pretty cool. Now, if you don't have an LCD hooked up, that's totally fine. This will just do nothing, so there's no harm there. Don't worry about that. And so that's what this little pipe character means. It means send this command. Once you're done with that, then send the next command. And then you can see we're doing a bunch of other stuff here with LED strips and flashers and other things that I personally don't have hooked up on my machines. So you could delete those if you want, or just leave them there. There's no harm actually in leaving those there. So I hope that was helpful. I'm trying to think if I missed anything. Maybe let me just show you one more example. So this is for Miss Pac-Man. And so every time you eat a dot in Miss Pac-Man, it's 10 points. Now we probably don't want to do something on every time you eat a power pellet because that's going to be a lot of stuff that happens all the time. So I just not doing anything special there. But what we are doing is when you have like a power pellet. So a power pellet technically is 50 points. The reason why I put 50 to 60 is because due to the timing. So you could be eating a dot and the power pellet, in which case it may register 60, and that's where we want to do our trigger. So that one needs a little bit of trial and error. Same thing with the ghosts, which are technically 200, 400, 800, and 1600, but I just added another 10 as a little buffer there. And so it's just like we did before. For each event that you want, you decide what animation you want to play. So I did some artwork for a power pellet. So play the power pellet animation, loop that one time. If you eat the second ghost, that's going to be worth 400 points. So play a 400 point animation. Same thing, loop that one time. And then on and on. So if you like got the orange, for example, we know the orange is worth 500 points. And so I did an animation just specifically for the orange, and it'll play that once you get there. Sorry, I'm going to scroll over here. I got too many lines. Yeah, so here's the orange animation here. We got the pretzel and the apple and all of them. So that's how you can do all of that. Now, what's really cool is so far we've just really started this. We're just at the tip of the iceberg. So for example, if I go back here, let me go back to DOFLinx. I've only at the time of this recording enabled like 15 games, but you can see here there's many games actually that are possible that I just haven't added the Pixelcade events to. So for example, let's just pick one that I haven't done. Let's see, let me pick one here that I'm actually familiar with. Okay, so let's say Burger Time. Okay, so someone else has already kind of set up this. Now, as a side note, if there is a game that you like that's not in this list, you can actually add that as well. There's a separate tutorial on how to set up. It's a little bit more involved. You have to kind of know where the memory is within the ROM on where the scores are written and write that in this file. So I won't do that in this video, maybe a separate video, or we'll find something else that's an existing tutorial that's already out there. But the point is there's quite a few games you can see here that are already set up for that. We just have to go in and tell them, okay, based on these events, do this for Pixelcade specifically. So let me go back to that Burger Time example. So it's the same format that we just went through. You can see here the different events that have already been defined. So whether it's dropping a burger, or you got the hot dog or the pickle or the egg or the ice cream or the coffee, all these events. So it's just a matter of each event defining some artwork, what you want to show, and then just simply adding that command at the end of this line. Over time, we'll of course add support for more games. So to get the latest and greatest, just run the Pixelcade Artwork Updater. This is the same updater that you've been using this whole time to get the latest artwork. Now including, in addition to the latest artwork, you also get the latest configuration files for DOFLinx to add support for more MAME games. So just run that over time and you'll have the latest and greatest. Now, if you want to go deeper, and for example, let's say you have a favorite game and that's not supported on DOFLinx right now. So you go back to this DOFLinx folder here, this DOFLinx main folder. You can see all the ROMs that are supported. If your game is not supported, then there is a way where you can actually add your own support. So go to the guide section, specifically look at this file, Guide for Understanding and Building MAME Files. And this will give you a lot more detail on how this actually works, the structure of these files, and then specifically if you need to add your own game, there's some memory and RAM addresses you need to find out on that particular game. So this guide goes into gory detail on how to do that. Would definitely love to encourage you guys to do that on your favorite games and add more games to this. That would be super awesome. And lastly, I just want to say a huge thanks to the developer of DOFLinx. It was great working with him, collaborating on this. Like I had to make some code changes on my side. He did a lot of code changes on his side, and we're able to make this all possible. So big thanks to him. He does not charge for this. He just does it out of passion. But, you know, for those of you, if you see value here and you're interested, he does accept donations to kind of help keep things going. So if you like it, I'll include a link to this in this YouTube video. But definitely check that out if you like it. You know, of course, it's much appreciated to drop him a little bit there. It is a lot of work to do all this stuff. And there's lots of more information, by the way, on VP forums. Just do a Google search on DOFLinx and you'll find a ton of stuff.